And welcome to yet another edition, and this is the Tuesday edition of The Burning Issue here on 5FM 899, and it's good for everyone. And remember that we are live also on our partner media houses. We are live on BMTV. BMTV is live on Topstar Channel 114, and look out for their Facebook page and other socials, which are BMTV Zambia, and also live on our 5FM Radio Zambia Facebook page. Like it, follow us, leave us a comment, and of course also live on other media houses. Like I earlier mentioned, we are live on Katete FM in Katete on 103.3. We are also live in Kabwe on Spice FM on 91.1. ZFM is live on 100.3 FM in Kapiri, and we are live on the Copper Belt in Ndola, to be precise, on Platinum Radio, and that is on 99.7. Not forgetting also, we are live on Tuta FM in Mansa, covering Rapula Province, on 90.7, and Isunga Radio is in Senga Hill, Northern Province. We are also live on that one. Later on in the course of the program, I will ask you, our listener, to call in and interact with our guest. May I take this opportunity to sincerely apologize to you, our listener, for starting the programs late. We are late by 30 minutes. This is due to the fact that our guest had commitments earlier on, and so he is here. He's made it. We are grateful for that. So we again hope that you will accept our sincere apology. I'm your host. Zachariah Banda is my name, and we will definitely be having a conversation around Zambia's economy. And my guest today is Dr. Lubinda Haabazoka. He is an economist and a lecturer at the University of Zambia. Sir, welcome to the program. Good to see you.
Thank you very much for inviting me.
We haven't spoken in a long time, so obviously a lot has taken place economically, and it would be nice that we obviously update the nation on what your thoughts are, especially the trajectory that Zambia is taking. Now, the most burning issue, I will go straight into it due to time. The most burning issue is definitely on the foreign exchange reserves, and Zambia's gross international reserves have reportedly risen to around 6.4 to 6.5 billion United States dollars, equivalent to about 4.4 months of import cover. This is like its highest level in the country's history. I mean, what exactly are foreign reserves or exchange reserves, and why should ordinary citizens care?
Occurrences or discourse of the past 1 week or so has been, has really, perplexed me or surprised me as to the level of, sometimes maybe financial illiteracy in the country, and sometimes negligence, because some people actually know what reserves are and their importance, but for political purposes might just omit this particular thing. And unfortunately, this is very dangerous, because once we bring in casualty in the country, thinking that the reserves are nothing, in the future we end up not paying attention to the amount of the reserves. So what are foreign reserves? So when you look at foreign reserves, a country like Zambia does not produce everything. So, according to the way the international financial architecture is built, most of the trade, if you want to import something, you do it in US dollars. Even if you're buying in South Africa, you're paying your Visa, MasterCard, or whatever, you are going to the Bureau de Change, you are going to buy dollars.
Right.
And when you get dollars, you exchange them for rand, and then you do whatever you're doing. So for us to be able to sustain our livelihoods in the Republic of Zambia, for us to be able to buy fertilizers, for us to be able to buy clothes, for able to buy fuel, even the bundles that we are paying, the internet is provided by an international company sold to our local providers. They need US dollars. So if you don't have dollars in the country, basically there's chaos, because you're unable to buy those goods and services that you have. So the central bank as such exists And the role of the central bank is to actually manage foreign exchange reserves. So the central bank maintains foreign exchange reserves, which is money, either in US dollars and Chinese yuan, Japanese yen, British pound. There are about 5 currencies that are recognized or allowed by the International Monetary Fund, which a country can keep in terms of foreign exchange reserves. So the Bank of Zambia at the moment keeps US dollars, and they also keep Chinese yuan, and I think they keep the pound and these other currencies. They are a central bank. So what normally happens is that when they keep these reserves, they also keep gold. They also keep what are known as special drawing rights. These are more like dividends that we receive from the IMF every year to be able to support our balance of payments. Balance of payment is a statistical record of transactions of Zambians and its residents with the outside world. When that is negative, it means Zambians are importing more than they are exporting, which is dangerous, meaning you don't have more forex because you are importing more than you're exporting. So to be able to balance the payments, you need foreign exchange reserves. So the Bank of Zambia keeps these reserves. How does Bank of Zambia gets this money? So the Bank of Zambia first gets this money from special drawing rights from the IMF. 1, 2, the Bank of Zambia, when a company exports goods and they bring the money to their bank and they want kwacha, they sell. So Bank of Zambia does what is known as open market operations, meaning they buy the dollars openly on the forex market within Zambia. So the Bank of Zambia gets its money from the open market when they are doing open market operations.
Right.
Now, this forex come from the export of goods and services. The copper mines, they sell the copper, they bring the dollars here, they sell maybe to the banks or to whoever, or to the banks. Then Bank of Zambia buys from the bank, or they sell on the open market. Bank of Zambia is also an active participant. It buys, just like you and me. So that is mostly where the forex come from. The amount of money the Bank of Zambia keeps in the reserves does not appear in the national budget. Why? Because it's not an expense for the Zambian government. So there's Ministry of Finance and there's the Bank of Zambia. The Bank of Zambia is independent of the Ministry of Finance, meaning the Bank of Zambia is autonomous from the Zambian government. The Zambian government is represented for financial issues by the Ministry of Finance. And the Bank of Zambia happens to the banker to the state, meaning to the banker to the government. So those foreign exchange reserves, they are not deposits of the Zambian government. The Zambian government at the Bank of Zambia has an account known as Control 99. That is the bank account for the Zambian government. So the Zambian government at the beginning of the year normally writes a national budget. A national budget is a list of revenue and expenditure. So, for example, in October, the Minister of Finance will go and say, okay, next year, 2027, this is the revenue that we are going to get. And where is that revenue going to come from? Tax revenues, non-tax revenues like fees you pay for passports, RATSA certificates, land rates, those are fees. So tax revenues, that is the taxes that we pay, and non-tax revenues. So then they are going to have a list of expenditure. This is what we want to spend for the following year to develop the country. And when the government discovers that they don't have enough money to meet the expenditure that they plan to spend, they now, apart from tax and non-tax revenue, they now come and get what? They get debt financing. Debt can either be foreign or it can be domestic.
Yeah.
If it's domestic, it's your treasury bills and what? If it's foreign if it's foreign debt, they'll borrow in dollars and then they spend in Zambian kwachas. So when who's their banker is government, so they'll come and give the money. Bank of Zambia, here are the dollars, give us kwacha. So those dollars, when Bank of Zambia gets, they are going to throw it in the reserves. And they have given the Zambian government the kwacha, and the Zambian government will go and spend. Meaning, the Zambian government, the money of the Zambian government stays in control 99 and not in the Zambian reserves. Zambian reserves, this is not money that is part of the national budget. You will never see anywhere in the national budget where it's written that for next year we are going to buy so much reserves. That does not exist. Because
so when someone says, I will get the foreign exchange reserves and use them, what does that mean? Is it easily accessible as it is
so
said?
This is the only way the Zambian government can get money from the reserves. Let's assume the Zambian government owes a contractor or owes debt to people in the USA. So it's going to collect taxes and non-tax revenues within Zambia. If it doesn't have that money to borrow treasury bills, for example, that money is in kwacha. They need to go to Bank of Zambia. Bank of Zambia, you are my bank. I have so much kwacha. Can you give me dollars? Imwe Bank of Zambia, ndimwe banki banga. Nili na makwacha ya so, o ninkwata makwacha ya so, mpeni kwa $. Then the central bank will get money from the reserves. They will collect those kwachas and give the Zambian government those dollars. And those dollars are going to go towards debt service. Now, because the Bank of Zambia is the bank to the state, they will do it in-house. Where are those kwachas going to go? They are going to just be kept somewhere or in a black hole. We call it black hole. And that's the money that the Bank of Zambia will use maybe the following week to go and buy dollars from that money. They are being, so the central bank is being the banker to the state. Mind you, the central bank is also banker to the banks. It's also banker to the banks.
Right.
So the first instance I've explained how the Zambian government can reserves can have access to those reserves is by bringing their own kwachas and exchanging it for those reserves. 2, when the Zambian government is broke, they can go to the Bank of Zambia to borrow money. But the law puts a limit or a cap on the amount of money you can borrow from a central bank. And it should be not more than 10% of the previous revenue of the previous what I can't remember that provision, but it's given in terms of the revenue of government. The previous there's a limitation.
Right.
The reason why there's a limit on the amount of money the Zambian government can borrow from the central bank is to avoid the printing of money and the depletion of the foreign reserves. So the government appoints officers at the central bank. For the central bank to pursue an independent monetary policy, the law has made it difficult for Zambian government to abuse the Bank of Zambia. Meaning the law, it is against the law to go and tell Bank of Zambia, print money. They can't. So let's assume the Bank of Zambia prints money. They can only print they lend to the Zambian government, and the Zambian government has to pay back that money to the central bank. So I have printed money. Let's assume money has been printed in kwacha. It's been given to the Zambian government. You have increased the money supply in the economy. When you increase money supply in the economy, you are likely to cause inflation, and your currency has a risk of turning into toilet paper. So that's why Zambian government will pay back to the central bank to squeeze out that liquidity. So that is made as a short-time measure. So in terms of somebody or even the current president, he cannot go to Bank of Zambia and say, give me 3 billion or 2 billion of your reserves. The law does not allow. If you want 2 billion as the president from Bank of Zambia, can you bring equivalent kwacha from how much taxes you have collected? You can't just come and bully us and get that money. That's how the economy operates. So it's kind of scary when people start confusing the national budget with the foreign exchange reserves. It's impossible. So to the people of the Republic of Zambia, as an economist, I would like to assure you that when the central bank is accumulating those reserves, they are not competing with the central the national budget to feed you or to build schools. What Bank of Zambia is doing is called monetary policy, and it's its own business. What government is doing is called fiscal policy, and it's government's business. These two complement each other, but they do not. So when you hear that in our reserves we have 30 billion, fortunately we can't use it. That money is made to sustain our livelihoods. How? People are, some of them educated, are saying that reserves are rubbish. Oh my God. Hey, if you don't know what an economic crisis is, even you want to because you are going to eat everything. For example, at the moment, Malawi is under pressure because they don't have reserves. They don't have dollars. You can't find. They have two exchange rates. One, the official at the commercial banks. One at the black market rate. When a country reaches that, for all those of us who lived through Kaunda's period after the collapse of Kaunda's regime in the early 90s under Chiruba, we know what to have a dysfunctional economy is. We know what food shortages are. Please, let's not play with fiscal stability. Let's not play with macroeconomic stability. So what am I trying to say? If you as a citizen wakumbwa kantu pali baba na South Africa pa internet, you don't ask anyone where their dollars. You have a Visa card. You just swipe. You don't know how many people have a headache to be able to convert those kwacha reserves that you have, kwacha account into dollar. You don't know. Yeah. First, your bank is the first person to have a headache. If your bank does not have those dollars, they go to the central bank. Why? Because the central bank is the banker to banks. Central bank and these clients, they need this. Then the central bank will give them the dollars in exchange for kwacha. So if you go to your bank, you want to buy a .com in Japan, then a .com, for those that don't know, nika vaka kamotoka. Urefo kushita nchibu ku Japan. Waya ku bank kowe ukwete 200 pin. Then wabibati, can you give an instruction to bank, wire this money to Japan? They won't tell you, no, we won't wire it, we don't have money. No, they don't tell it. They don't tell you that. But sometimes they might not have. So when you give them that instruction, you go and even sleep. Japan does not accept kwacha. Japan wants dollar. So your bank will start fidgeting. They will either ask from other banks, if the other banks can sell them, or from the bureaus or from wherever. That money is not there. They'll go to the central bank. So if a lot of people don't have dollars, the ones that have dollars, now I short a dollar, I can only sell you at this price. Then the Zambian kwacha starts losing value. It's losing value because there's less dollars. And when it starts losing value, the central bank sees, hey, these guys don't have dollars. The central bank will just go and sell dollars to the market in exchange for kwacha. Now, I have heard people say that, but this money is kept outside the country. Colleagues, Zambia, I respect this country. It's a very good country, but we live in an international financial system that was created in 1944 at a meeting held at Bretton Woods, New Hampshire, attended by 44 nations that were designing a post-war international monetary system about the conduct of the international monetary or monetary systems of various countries. And according to that system, the financial center for the world was New York. So why does the Zambian government keep money in New York or wherever? Because that's the center. For example, you want to send money to Japan. You bank with Zanaco. Zanaco has what is known as a Nostro account. Okay, let me not be too technical. There's a Vostro and Nostro account, but let me not be technical. So Zanaco is going to have a correspondent account with, say, Bank of New York. So a correspondent account is, or a correspondent relationship is when one bank holds deposits with another bank. In this case, Zanaco is going to have an account. Let's say, I'm giving as an example.
Right.
Zanaco, don't sue me. We are just using you. I'm actually advertising you. Freedom and Disham after lunch. So, you are going to find that Zanaco is going to be holding accounts in New York with the Bank of New York. Then let's assume you are sending to a bank in Japan called Mitsubishi Shansanyuk. That Mitsubishi Shansanyuk also has a corresponding account with Bank of New York. So Zanaco, when you deposit money in Zanaco account, Zanaco is just going to send an instruction to Bank of New York to say, can you move money, so much amount of money from our account and put it in an account in favor of this particular person. Then Bank of New York will move money from their account, from Zanaco's account, within the same bank, to another account in Mitsubishi, whatever, for a particular client with details. Then that Mitsubishi, in New York, they realize that money has entered. They will instruct their bank in Japan to say, the money has been received. They move it to Japan, for example, and the transaction closes. So you can't hold money in a Karingaringa branch, and then you have to mail it then cash. So that's how the international monetary system occurs. So when Bank of Zambia is doing what is known as foreign exchange intervention, they do it from New York. So they will sell to the banks in New York in their corresponding accounts. Zambia does this. South Africa does this. Russia used to do that. Those reserves you have heard that they are frozen.
That's right.
That's the purpose of those monies. That it was for that. Even the UK holds those money outside the country. Some of them, but the UK is a financial center. So some of it domestically, some of it in the USA, some of it in Switzerland, wherever. They are financial centers.
Yeah. So meaning that these reserves that you are talking about, that Zambia is holding in New York, for example, does that mean that even the gold that you spoke about that would be in Bank of Zambia's reserves are also held there, or what's the situation?
I'm not really sure where the gold is being held. My wild guess is that gold, since it's physical, it's in the Republic of Zambia.
Right.
But if because Zambian government is not selling it, it's just stockpiling it. But when it becomes a lot, I think some of it might even be moved outside the country for easy transaction, because the easy selling.
Right.
Because if you sell the gold here in Zambia, then there's nothing you are doing. You are selling in Zambia and the dollar is here in Zambia. You might as well do open market operations differently. So the issue here is that we need to trade with the outside world to bring in dollars. That's why the international market, that's why those things happen on the international market. I would like to also tell you that the USA, despite it being the country that harbors all those things, it has two segments of market. One is a domestic market, the other one is the international market, meaning it also has a market where it keeps money, not on the domestic USA, outside its banking system, although those things are held within the same republic. It's quite a complex thing, but be rest assured that we were educated on your bursaries. We know what we are talking about. We are speaking for you.
Right. Now, government points to stronger GDP growth, and of course easing inflation, a more stable kwacha, and a record foreign reserves like we have just talked about. Do these things translate, or do these indicators tell the full story?
They do, and I'll explain to you why. What is GDP? GDP is how much citizens produce combined within a calendar year. So when we say GDP has grown by 5%, it means that you and me, we produce 5% more this year compared to the previous year. That's what it means. So people like hearing things like GDP as just figures. they are just results. Bana market barishishe on average umusalo 5% more than bashishe last year. But if the GDP is 1% in terms of growth, then bana market bashishe 1% more, which is very bad. Takwari market. So okuyishiba ati abantu baleshe fintu ifingi nangu turepange fintu ifingi mchalo tumwena kuri GDP, because GDP kusankanya kwa fintu fyonse efyo twapanga n'okuchana muchalo muri ye mwe bati muri calendar ye. So those are not vague figures. Same with inflation rate. Inflation rate, it shows us the rate at which prices are growing. You know, I read on somebody's Facebook page that in 2020, minimum was 120 kwacha, inflation 24%. Now minimum is 250, inflation 6%. How possible is it? Ha. You know, I felt very bad because that person is apparently educated. They even worked in a bank. Yeah, I know them personally. Very educated. It's a lack of understanding of what GDP. Yes, minimum was 120, but because of the same 20% inflation rates over a period of time, that's how it reached 250. So, where there's positive inflation rate, prices will not remain stable. And I'm even trying to tell the Zambian citizen, no bunga wine, they will never go down the price. It will just continue increasing. But it will be increasing by the rate of inflation. So, the inflation rate has reduced to 6%. Just know that on average, the prices of goods and services in the country will increase by 6%. If the reduction in inflation rate does not mean that prices have gone down, no. So how does the cost of living goes down? The cost of living will only go down if your earnings increase faster than the inflation rate. For example, basa mirundi lako 10% okomwomba mu next year, meaning that you have beaten, the increase has beaten inflation. You start feeling the value for your earnings. That's why the trickle down effect takes some time. It is very easy to destroy, but it's very difficult to do what? To rebuild. So colleagues, trickle down effect, cost of living things. Tell me one day, me I'm telling you, even the time I'm going to be standing as president of the Republic of Zambia, cost of living will fall down immediately. It takes time. The quickest way of reducing the cost of living, ladies and gentlemen, is by improving the value of the Zambian kwacha. And I'll explain to you why. So, kwacha ngayanina, let's assume iPhone, yeah, $1,000. Last year, March, $1 was 28 kwacha. Meaning, Pakistan iPhone, I was spending, could buy 28,000 kwacha for an iPhone. Today, an iPhone is 18,000 kwacha. Within 1 year, you have saved 10,000 kwacha for an iPhone. And this is written. So, if you go in the shops, and you think that my advice is go on Alibaba and order the things there, or go on the internet and order things there. When our local traders realize that we are not buying things from them, we are importing ourselves directly because it's cheaper, they'll start reducing the prices. Now, the prices are not falling just because the prices of imported goods and services, people are speculating. You know, the businessman is very quick at increasing, but very reluctant at reducing. I'm telling you, even me, competition. But I can tell that chicken price has gone up, some things have gone up. You can tell. But mwena sana kuma building material, nga fiambo kuwela kwa competition ati fiambo kuwela. Yeah, but you can't force businesses to also reduce apashiri competition tafiwere find.
But what explains the disconnect between positive economic statistics and the lived experiences of households?
You know, first of all, there's always been poverty in Zambia. And I've learned it on myself. You gave me 5 pin salary, I'll manage a lifestyle in 5 pin. But sometimes I might overstretch and live a lifestyle of 10 pin. I'll be in debt. Then I get another job, I start being paid 10 pin. I'll start living a lifestyle within 10 pin, but I'll overstretch and start living a lifestyle of 20 pin. I get another job, 100 pin. I will have these basic necessities, food and what. Sometimes if I'm foolish, I won't even have food at home. Because in Kalam Kunganare almost no grain feedage 25 years. Then again I'll start borrowing. So the cost of living in the Republic is high, and it's relative to who is saying it. You'll find that, and I know, we are a very highly urbanized country. And I can tell you that people in Chawama or Kanyama are finding it more difficult to sustain their livelihoods than people in Chongwe Rural. Why? Because people in Chongwe Rural, they live off the land, maybe fish farming, growing tomatoes. They have economic active. They are doing economic activities. But people in Chora, they only have to find either a job. They can't supplement their livelihood. They can't live off the land. There's no land. And this problem has been caused by urban migration. But Zambia is a free country. We can't stop people from moving. That's why the first thing that we need to do, after we have stabilized as a country in terms of macroeconomic stability, my advice to government is now, if you are let's do business, change freke. Let's create, Zambians can do business. Okay, some are very good at business, but the majority just want jobs. So let's start creating factories where people can be able to work. Government has done things like food for work, CDF, and what, to just try to help social cash transfer. This is my taxpayer government is spending. But in the, social cash transfer is very good. There are some women that are basically struggling and they are living it. And that's why we should not trivialize it as a country. But for the youth, we just need to create factories and an enabling environment for businesses to set up so that we can employ these people. But there's nobody who's going to set up a country where there are no foreign reserves. A company. The party will engage utuampani muchalo musha abama reserves, and I'll tell you why. Because if there are no reserves, it means I can't import raw materials because there's no dollar. If there are no reserves, then I can't take back my profits because there is no forex. So let's reserves, colleagues. That's the blood, the lifeline of the Zambian economy.
But Dr. Haabazoka, how would you then honestly assess the state of Zambia's economy today? I mean, is the average Zambian beginning to feel the improvement reflected in the macroeconomic indicators?
The Zambian economy has for long been abused by corruption. It has long been abused by corruption, incompetence, favoritism, and all sorts of nonsense. Every time we reach somewhere, like you saw, we reach somewhere under Mwanawasa.
Right.
We reach somewhere. You could even tell Dora Yakwata Mano, but he still had a lot of resistance, and unfortunately passed away. We went back to, to being more of a highly indebted country. So now the state of the economy is that it is recovering. It hasn't fully recovered. We still have huge debt. Debt was not paid off. It was restructured. We still have huge debt as a country. So contrary to what people think, we are still not in a good position. What has improved is our ability to service debt and our ability to fund activities within the country because we have done fiscal discipline to the level whereby the Zambian government has repaid off the first Eurobond. Mind you, Eurobond is the biggest culprit of all debt because it has no mess, nickel over. During its life, you only pay interest. Then balance lump sum. So, regardless of non-political, non-economic factors that we are going through, for me, my appeal to the Zambian is that the economy in the upcoming election should be the biggest factor to make a decision. You know, a person like me, I'm a bit educated, and I have a bit of options. And most politicians have those options. When things are very bad in Zambia, they're able to move to find money. They'll be the last people to be hurt. They'll be hurt, but they'll be the last persons. But the common person is a person that feels these things very bad. So the common person, unfortunately, is the same person that does not understand the principles. So according to what I'm saying here, the economy should be the biggest picture. Who's telling you the best realistic economic story? That's the person you should vote for. I am not telling you who to vote for. I have no right to tell you who to vote for. And at the moment, thankfully, I don't belong to any political party. But what I can tell you is that I will vote based on what I think is best for Zambia's economy, regardless of whatever nonsense other factors are happening in the country. For me, it's the economy. I don't want to go back to, I don't want my currents to be struggling. So whoever is going to tell me that the kwacha is going to be like this and this is how I'm going to do it, that's the person that I'm going to vote for. I know there's a lot of euphoria from both sides, and that's why I've been on this issue of reserves. I've tried as much to make people understand, because the biggest obstacle to democracy is lack of information. And there's so much, and this is not financial literacy, it's actually, we call it information asymmetry, where even if you disclosed something to a person, that thing you are disclosing is so complex that they won't even get it. I can explain reserves now, no one will get it.
But as much as patriotic as you are, I know that we're discussing this important issue about foreign reserves, because obviously an aspiring candidate in the race for presidency spoke it. And I think that in their statement, you heard that they meant, what would foreign reserves mean if you can't pay farmers? What are foreign reserves for if you can't pay council workers? These were statements. Were you worried when you heard that statement?
Honorable Brian Munduire is a very, very good friend of mine. Like to people, you won't even know, he's a very, very good friend of mine. He was just playing politics. He was looking at a political pointer to say, so in politics, your opponent has done this good and they have done this bad. So you mention the bad. Now you need to bring, in politics, you need to bring down even the good that your opponent has done. So you trivialize the reserves. So I think he was just doing politics. He knows what the importance of the reserves to a country. He's an educated person. That's the way I did.
But I haven't heard him speak, and hearing you speak, you are putting me in a position where I'm made to believe, or a listener is made to believe, then Brian Mundubile is being careless. He's a danger to this nation, because you have stated that it's dangerous to speak carelessly around reserves.
No, I think he's doing politics.
Would you say he was also looking at the audience he was speaking to?
He needs a very... I think he has a huge potential. I think he can make a very good president. But it's too early. Why? It's because I don't think he has a team that is so strong around him to be able to guide. Here you can say this, when the current president was in opposition, at some point he also did not have a team to guide. This you cannot say, this you can say, this you can do that. Even me, when I was EAZ president, before an interview, I would be told what not to say. Because me, I talk too much. So I would be told what not to say. My people would actually sit down listening, and I would always be on my phone. They're telling me, no, that thing that you are saying, stop it. Move this way. So I think on the part of Banda Brand, he doesn't have a team to tell him the do's and don'ts. Otherwise, each president normally has that. So that's why, in my opinion, let's give him time to sustain political party, create structures, advisors, create a dream, and then he can make a very good president. So for me, the status quo looks more obvious in terms of continuity in the recovery of the economy and doing that. Not basically saying that Banda Brand can make a very good president. I'm telling you, he's a very great guy. He's a very good friend. I also know the current president. Very great. I can't say great guy, but a great person. People actually misunderstand him. Yeah, he's a very good man. He has empathy. People don't know. When you talk to him, he listens. Contrary to what people think that he doesn't listen, he's a very good person. He has a strong personality. He just has a very strong personality. And for you to advise a person with a strong personality, you also need to have a strong personality. You need to be. So even the president, maybe in some cases, doesn't have strong personality advisors. Some people can say, Your Excellency, no, this one you can't say. You can only say this. I don't think also he has those people. But in terms of economic performance, I can put it on the record that Hakainde Hichilema has done that which he was elected for. That is bringing us from a country that had defaulted in terms of debt to a country that is now, Zambia is now being admired in the region. I'm telling you the truth.
Yeah, that's true.
Zambia is being admired, and it's quite unfortunate. Okay, this is politics. Unfortunate that he's not being given the credit. What I just don't want is for us to remember him when it's too late. That's one I don't want people to remember.
Before I take phone calls, quickly, probably this will be a 3-in-1 sort of question. I mean, the Kwacha has strengthened considerably. We are going to ask the question of, is it sustainable going forward, or this is temporal? But also, which sectors have benefited most from the stronger Kwacha, and which sectors may actually be disadvantaged as a result? But also, there is an aspect of exporters and farmers. Should they be worried that a stronger currency could reduce their competitiveness?
I think exporters who are worried that their export earnings have reduced, I think they let them side with the people of the Republic of Zambia. So just for us to get export income versus, I think 18-16 is the best exchange rate. Yeah, that's what I think. And it should maintain like that. So I think companies will get used. Do you know who the biggest loser in all this?
Yeah.
The Zambian government. Because the Zambian government taxes mines, which are the major taxpayers, by the way, in dollars now. So when they get the dollars and they are converting into kwacha, the amount of money is less. They pay salaries in kwachas. So actually the biggest loser is the same government that is pushing for a stronger kwacha. But they know and understand that we are doing this for citizens of the Republic of Zambia. Colleagues, should this exchange rate persist into January next year, you are going to feel the benefit. You definitely. I'm sure you have seen on the roads, you have seen Manyonyo cars. Yes, I know 2-3 people that have bought cars because of the same exchange rates. So let's not trivialize this. But that said, I know there are a lot of youth that want jobs. They are in a hurry, but not tondoromosuma. Ati mpombo ashani chibembanga chakupita. There's a saying which says,
Mpombo
wibirima. Yeah.
Ababirima
tabaya. So this is my personal opinion. Without maybe let me dive into economics, into politics a bit. This is my own opinion. In my own opinion, everything that is being said by people against Makebi Zulu and Mundubile, most of them are lies. These are very good people, and they can make great leaders. But they need time to consolidate their parties, to understand the country, to prepare for leadership. That's one. Two, the current president, despite a lot of challenges which we inherited since independence, he has done a great job to bring us back on track. We were a junk status country. Each person has normally given 10 years. I think he needs to be given his 10 years, and then other people can come in. That is my.
Yeah.
That
is that an indication that so far the trajectory of this country, economy-wise, is looking good?
Yeah, it's of course.
It shouldn't be disturbed.
It's going in the right direction. That said, there's still poverty in the country. People are still have trying. I know in the friend that I'll never be satisfied. At this point, I want millions and millions and millions. Those things I understand, but I'm talking about from the perspective of macroeconomic stability and what that. Give him his last term, let him finish what he has done, and I'm telling you, I think for me, Zambia is going to leave Zambia in a better place. Then, if you want, you can now dive into other political parties. Very expensive to change, political parties. Look, for the first 1 to 2 years under UPND, was basically nothing happening because guys were understanding how the economy operates. The Mundubile camp understands, they've been in government, but they'll be more focused on structural realignment. A lot of people lose their jobs, directors will be shifted, what. So it's going to be like another 2 to 3 years. Then by the time that the elections are coming, you want to remove them because you are going to say they have not done anything. To be the same cycle, I'm telling you, that's what I'm saying. That 10 years, if you want, you can give the other team another 10 years. You put just like that. That is my own opinion. Unless something really bad has happened in the country. For example, now if the Kwacha was at 35, I was going to tell them, chuck them out. If the things were going to be very bad, I was going to say, chuck. But, people there, I was arguing with a colleague yesterday who normally gets upset when he's denied a job in government. He moves from government to government. He has gotten jobs from various government, and when one person, a friend of mine, did not give him a job, started hating that person. That person referred to me as not being professionally whatever and what. Look, I've never worked for government in the sense of political appointment, despite the fact that, for example, Edgar Lungu was a very, very good friend of mine. Even after he left office, I used to go to ECO when people had run away from him. I was very close. The people that are singing ECO praises today, some of them I'm even surprised. Because me, I know a lot of things and how he thought about a lot of other people. Those are things that will come after 20 years if I'll still be alive, in a book. And up to now, I still stand that ECL really maneuvered well to do infrastructure and all those things. After those things were started by Satan that over procured certain things, I think ECL did his fair good, and as an individual, I'll continue reminding him. Sometimes I actually dream that I'm with him. We are chatting and what. That's how much I miss ECL. I miss him so much. For the advice and for everybody. And it was actually my wish for ECL and the current president to reconcile. And it was just not a wish. I did quite a lot of work to ensure that happened. But unfortunately, it never happened. You can ask my brother Brebna Changala. He will tell you that, yes, it's true, Haabazoka. And I was being called that I want to fight democracy. I wasn't fighting democracy. Some of us probably, maybe we foresee troubles that has happened. Look, we have not buried him for 1 year because there's churches on both sides. So you just need one sane person who doesn't care what other people are going to talk about him to go and say, hey, colleagues, let's move in this particular direction. So that is my own opinion. People can say whatever they want to say about me, but I think I care too much about the Republic of Zambia. That's why I'm even poor. Based on the knowledge and my abilities, I should have left the country a long time. I get a lot of offers, but I'm here, to struggle with you. People say I ask for jobs. No, maybe probably in the next government, whoever forms it, I think it's high time. I don't want to be Minister of Finance. Maybe it's high time I became economic advisor to the president, to any president, because I think that the presidents need to be directed in the angle where they need to go. Not maybe even economic advisor, maybe not even working full time, maybe just consultant, being given access to say, this thing you are supposed to do it, now you are not doing it. Because governments at the end of the day, they are supposed to help the people of the Republic of Zambia. And I know people in government sometimes stop listening to what citizens are saying. That's one. Two, and people in opposition lie too much sometimes. So we need to be able to tell us the truth. Now you can't, colleagues, I'm a professor. Now you can't lie to me, and I'm not going to allow anybody, both in the ruling government and the opposition, to lie to citizens. These are fellow Zambians. I see some youth euphoric that things are going to change overnight. I said, tell it happen like that. That's not the way it is. If it was happening like this, Malawi was going to be far much developed. But I can pinpoint you there's a country that is developing faster than us. Tanzania. The infrastructure, everything. Why? Because you need a bit of strong hand on the Republic. Look at how South Africa is disintegrating. Chasing foreigners. Because there's a soft hand, not leadership. But in a country, you need, strong hand.
Absolutely.
And citizens should love their own country.
Let me take a few calls. We'll take very few of them because of time. Good morning. Hello, good morning. Hello, can you hear us? Okay, we don't seem to have, we seem to not to have a caller hearing us, but let's quickly take another one. The number you're calling us on is 0761 912493 or indeed 0955 221515. Let's take this one here.
Hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Thank you for calling. Your name and where you calling us from?
Thank you very much. You are talking to Lukuru Voice here in Lusaka.
Lukuru Voice, I'm giving you 30 seconds. We don't have enough time.
Thank you very much. Lubinda Haabazoka mchwa nishangwe.
Atuna nabalu wapira.
Vitume za huru. Quickly, 2021, 2026, looking at the UPND, what they've done, a lot, they have seen they have debt restructured. Our debts to 94%, the money which they didn't borrow. We have seen them recruiting the civil servants almost the 100,000. Okay.
Do you have a question? Do you have a question? Or a country? Do you have a question? I wouldn't want you to tell us what the UPND has done. I would like you to ask a question.
The question I'm asking, Lubinda Haabazoka, is this: why is it that the PL failed to introduce free education from entirely grade 1 to grade 12, saying they did not have money? Where has the UPND found money, actually, including even the school feeding program on top?
Where
have they found the money?
Thank you.
Then the allowances also to the students. Where have they found the money? After
Thank you, Mr. Lu.
Thank you, which was badly hit, which was mismanaged to 0.2.
Okay, your 30 seconds is up. I'll take another one quickly. On 0955221515. Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning to you. Thank you very much for calling us. Please share your name.
Banda,
Yes, please. 30 seconds. Make your question.
So my question is this only for respect. On the president's podium, when he came to launch for this campaign at the Heroes. So assessing your fellow candidates on the platform, say, if we go for someone who is holding an immunity, sure. And he responded to say, I cannot say anything on my president without thank that presidency. When he was answering somehow, who dominantly but on this fact, please, want to peace. We don't want to have immunity over insulting so that others can take advantage to say they said this by responding. No, we need peace in Zambia, please.
Thank you. Thank you.
Comment.
Thank you, Mr. Banda. Thank you very much for that. I'm looking for anyone with an economic question, considering the guest we have in studio. Good morning.
Vazaki. Mwaka bwino.
Ndauka mwaka bwanje.
Tauka.
Haabazoka.
Mulijabe bwino.
Utafile chilapa wali.
Bandani zina.
Abani bachikubabe.
Yes, bachikubabe. We've got 30 seconds for you.
You know, Vazaki, I'm very shocked that even Mr. Haabazoka can say that Zambia was a junkie state. What can we call this time around? Can we call a mafia state? Because that's what we have passing through people of Zambia for 4 years.
But is that an economic perspective? Mr. Chikubabe, those are two different things I think you are giving me. I think the junk state was from the economic status. But if you bring in the mafia aspect, I don't think that is on the economic front. So maybe we call it economic situation.
All right. Yeah. Like this time around, what people of Zambia are passing through the economy. Because if you can look at now, the cost of living, the rate has gone up. It's almost about 12,400 for the family of 5 people. How people can survive like that if they have a Haabazoka think that things are okay? If you can look at the cost of production, Mr. Haabazoka,
we should
how is it in agriculture
sector?
Did he say things are...
You should learn to say that.
Mr. Chikubabe, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, I think you misquoted him. Did he say things are okay?
The way he was comparing that, no, I'm sure this time around, Mr. Munduvire should give time to Mr. Kainde.
What did I
say? What he's talking about.
Yes, I said that.
He's talking about to give time that these people should first reorganize their party. Reorganize for what? Because
but that's his opinion. That's his opinion.
He just came up from somewhere else. Maybe he was just keeping cattle and doing business. These are people who were in leadership. They were in parliament before. This is what we are looking for. If we can look at the country, the way it is moving, it is lacking leadership. This is what we are talking about. When an individual like Mr. Haabazoka can come and say that we are in junkie state economically, what about here now where people are passing through? Let us be very serious for our country. We know it.
Thank you
very much.
Thank you very much for that. Maybe react as we close.
My structure is so poor.
Yeah, so maybe let's take a quick one before we go. Good morning.
Good morning, Vazaki.
How are you today? Please share your name and where you're calling us from.
General Chongo, calling from Kabwe.
Yes, General Chongo.
Haabazoka mulishani.
Bueno.
Haabazoka, our president Hakainde Hichilema, when he was coming in 2021, what the Zambian voted for him is high cost of living than those things you are measuring, because mu government ichilengo kufunyapo abantu lutoshi lwawale. How has the president failed to talk about high cost of living, closing now to 5 years, and when he is manifesting for a second manifesto, talking the same issue, how can Zambian people ukubachita trust? Lastly, Haabazoka, this country because the president, he has never been in the government to other areas than Mundurile and Makebi, because these have a lot of experience. So what Mulanda to president experience, mu government, What about Aka Mundurire and Makebi? Can they not come and drive this country because of their experience? The country has been very far bakalamba because twali besha bahaka inde na bafigwa nangunomba ilinga nani aba Haabazoka. Can you explain to the Zambian people why the president has not tackled for high cost of living?
Thank you, General. Thank you, General.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. In closing, let's quickly look at what is Zambia's biggest economic risk over the next 2 years.
I think when you look at the risk for Zambia, Zambia's economy is much dependent on who's driving it.
All right.
We have two scenarios. I think one scenario, fiscal discipline, and hopefully the trickle-down effect. The other scenario, fiscal indiscipline, politics of popularism, pumping money into the economy anyhow at the expense of debt and then debt default. The other challenge that we have is El Nino. We might get a drought this year. Thank heavens we had a bumper harvest. I think 5 million tons of maize or something like that.
Should we trade it? Or should we
some of it offload, otherwise we don't have storage. Some of it, because when the rains come, that maize will be gone. So some of it we need to offload it to get forex. So energy and food security. Food security and economic management.
Do you think that, I'm asking this question in comparison, obviously. I think under the Patriotic Front, we saw pretty much about 5 different finance ministers. And under Hakainde Hichilema, he's maintained one minister. And there are indications also, showing that he probably won't change the working team. Would you support that, Dr. Msokotwane continues? Should the UPND return to power?
Well, I think that he has shown that he's managed to, the experience that he brings on board is huge. He worked with Mwanawasa. First, he's a scholar just like me from the university. He worked Ministry of Finance, worked with Mwanawasa, worked with Arabi as finance minister.
Bank, I think. What bank or IMF?
IMF, or something like that. I think he's a very seasoned person. He's able to do things. You need, the way the people you need handling coffers of the nation are those whom you cannot bulldoze. I don't think the president can call them and say, you just pay the contractors this. You'll be told off. That's what I think. So on there, he's really a strong man. And, coupled with Bank of Zambia, given the chance to do whatever he's doing on his own, Honorable Dr. Kaliala has shown that he's able to perform. And, I can tell you that even under ECL, he really helped stabilize the economy. The man, he knows what he's doing, the Bank of Zambia governor.
Yeah. Your concluding remarks?
I think my concluding remarks is that, I've heard the callers that were calling. And unfortunately, their motivation to either love or hate are not dictated by the way the economy is going. That's very dangerous.
Thank you very much for coming, Doc, and all the best.
Thank you.
There you have it. To you, our listener that followed our conversation, thank you very much. That was our guest, Dr. Lubinda Haabazoka, an economist and a lecturer at the University of Zambia. And of course, we appreciate our partner media houses, BMTV, for having carried this program live on BMTV, which is on channel 114 on Topstar. And also you can find them on their various social media platforms as BMTV Zambia. and to Spice FM in Kabwe. Thank you very much. To ZFM, Platinum Radio, Tuta FM, Isunga Radio, as well as Katete FM. We will certainly be back with the Thursday edition of the Burning Issue. This time around, your host, as usual and as always, is Uncle Frank Mtubila, or Ambassador Mtubila, if you like, with the Thursday edition. And we'll let you know who his guest will be. From all of us here is take care of yourselves and more so of each other. Bye-bye.
The views and opinions expressed on this show do not represent those of the station, its management, or affiliates. No copyright infringement is intended. All copyrighted materials remain the property of 5FM and are used for commentary, educational, or fair use purposes only.